Syngamy and fertilization. Syngamy and fertilization is the most important step when we are talking about the process of sexual reproduction. We can say in simple language that syngamy and fertilization are the most important steps which occur during sexual reproduction. Now, syngamy and fertilization. These two terms are used synonymously, like we can use syngamy for fertilization and fertilization for syngamy, but there is a difference between these two terms. Now, when we talk about syngamy, it is the actual act of fusion of gametes, that is both male and female gamete. When we talk about syngamy, it is the actual act of fusion of gametes during sexual reproduction. While on the other hand, when we talk about fertilization, fertilization includes all the events which lead to syngamy. When we talk about fertilization, fertilization will include all the events which finally lead to syngamy. So, you can see the difference between these two terms, that is syngamy and fertilization. Now, syngamy and fertilization will result into what? Why we are doing this sexual reproduction? We are doing this sexual reproduction, we are doing all the events in sexual reproduction for the formation of what? That is diploid zygote. We have seen how the diploid zygote is formed, how the ploidy of the offspring which is to be formed from the organism is maintained by the process of meiosis, that is reduction division during the cell division that we have already studied in gametogenesis, that is gamete formation. So, syngamy and fertilization will result into a diploid zygote. Now, when we talk about this diploid zygote, it is a vital link that ensures continuity of the species between organisms of one generation to the next generation. This zygote serves the continuity of species between organisms of one generation to the next generation. Now I am going to ask you a question. If this whole process, that is syngamy, does not occur, what would happen? How those organisms will reproduce? What would happen if syngamy does not occur? Now, in some organism, these particular organisms show a special type of reproduction in which the female gamete, I repeat myself, the female gamete develops into a new individual without being fertilized by a male gamete. In some organisms where syngamy does not occur, there is a special process which takes place, there is a special reproduction which takes place in which the female develops into a new individual without being fertilized by the male gamete. And that particular process is called parthenogenesis. The process is called parthenogenesis, in which the female gamete develops into a new individual. It can be male, it can be female, without being fertilized by a male gamete. That means syngamy is not occurring in parthenogenesis. Now, when we talk about types of parthenogenesis, there are three types of parthenogenesis. When we talk about parthenogenesis, which is a special type of reproduction in which the female gamete develops into a new individual without being fertilized by the male gamete. That means there is no occurrence of syngamy. So there are three types of parthenogenesis. The first one is arenotochy. The first one is arenotochy. In this type of parthenogenesis, the female gamete will develop into male individuals. In this type of parthenogenesis, the female gamete will develop into male individuals. Example, we can say that honeybee. We will also see the reproduction in honeybee during 5th chapter. Now, the second type of parthenogenesis is teletochy. It is teletochy. In this type of parthenogenesis, the female gamete will develop into female individuals. The female gamete, without being fertilized by the male gamete, will develop into only female individual. And the last type of parthenogenesis is amphitochy. As we are aware about the term amphibians, amphibians are the organisms which can live in water and land both. So amphi means, in this kind of parthenogenesis, both male and female individuals can be formed. So when we are talking about types of parthenogenesis, there are three types of parthenogenesis. That is, the first one is arenotochy, the second one is teletochy, and the third one is amphitochy. In arenotochy, only males will be produced. In teletochy, only females will be produced. And here, both sexes. Both sexes can be produced. Where does syngamy occur? Syngamy, that is fertilization, can occur inside or outside the female body. The syngamy or fertilization can occur inside or outside the female body. When it occurs inside the female body, it's called internal fertilization. And when it occurs outside the female body, it's called external fertilization. We also say that fertilization is species specific. Fertilization is species specific. How? When there is fusion of the male and female gamete in a particular species, there is a specific protein which is present on the surface of ovum. It's called fertilization, and on the male counterpart, anti-fertilization is present. So when these two gametes come in contact with each other, fertilization and anti-fertilization will unite. So we say that because of the specific binding of this fertilization and anti-fertilization which is present on a specific species, ovum and male gamete, ovum and sperm, we say that fertilization is a species specific process. Like in simple terms, the egg of one species will combine with the sperm of only that species. It will not combine with the species of some other organisms. Okay, so fertilization is species specific process. When we talk about internal fertilization and external fertilization, in internal fertilization there is a requirement of close contact between the two sexes, because the gamete needs to be transported in the female body. Animals with external fertilization may or may not undergo mating. When we talk about external fertilization, in some animals like frog and in some marine invertebrates and fishes, they release their gametes in water. The sperm swim to reach the egg. Frogs have external fertilization but mating takes place. I repeat, frogs have external fertilization, still mating takes place. A male, how it will occur? A male will cling to female's back for hours until she releases egg. Frogs do, so the frogs do what? Pseudo-copulation, as they do not have any copulatory organ. Even fishes which cannot swim easily hold on to one another may have a courtship leading to pairing of male and female before eggs are laid and fertilized. Courtship is an important prelude to mating. It gives females an opportunity to assess the quality of a male. I repeat, the term we talked about, courtship in fishes, is prelude to mating, as it gives females an opportunity to assess the quality of a male. Post-fertilization events. Post-fertilization events include zygote and embryo development, that is embryogenesis. Now when we talk about zygote is the fusion of male and female gamete during sexual reproduction. In diploid organism, there will be the formation of diploid zygote. When we talk about internal fertilization, the zygote form will be inside the body of female, and when we talk about external fertilization, this zygote form will be outside the female's body. Now, when we talk about embryogenesis is nothing but development of embryo. Now, this development of embryo from zygote is a complex process which include both two important processes, that is cell division and cell differentiation. Cell division is important for the growth of organisms like mitosis will occur here, which will increase the number of cells, which will give the mass and growth to the body. Cell differentiation will differentiate each and every cell to form a particular organ, then organ system, and then the whole organism. Now, we will see that development of embryo will include both cell division and cell differentiation. These events, I repeat, these events, that is cell division and cell differentiation, proceed according to the genetic information contained in the zygote and ultimately lead to the formation of mature animals. Right, when we talk about the overall structure of a dog, then the formation of a embryo of a dog from a zygote will be because of the chromosome numbers which are present in the dog. So genetic information contained in the zygote is ultimately very important, which will lead into the mature animal of that particular species. How amazing it is that from one fertilized zygote cells, like when we see zygote is the fusion of male and female gamete. So finally the zygote which is produced is only one cell. It is diploid, but it's only one cell. Will develop differently, and each cell will differentiate into liver, muscle, nerve, skin, etc. Depending upon the development of the zygote, inside or outside the body of the female parent organism, have been classified into two types, that is oviparous and viviparous animals. Animals based on the development of this zygote inside the female body or outside the female body, we have differentiated the animals into two types, that is oviparous. In simple language we can say that egg laying, and viviparous, that is they lay young ones. They give birth to young ones. Oviparous animals are egg laying animals where egg will be produced. These eggs which are produced can be covered with a hard calcareous shell or a leathery coat. In viviparous animals, the fertilized egg will develop into embryo within the uterus of the female parent, and offspring will be produced as a juvenile. Now, there is a special case which is called ovoviviparous. This type of fertilization, this type of animal is there, and the example of ovoviviparous animals is shark and an Indian cobra. In these type of organism, the eggs are incubated within a modified portion of the oviduct called uterus, and the young ones born alive after hatching. In simple language, we can say that in these organisms, egg will be produced, but they will be produced inside the uterus of the animals. The organism will take its nourishment from that particular egg that is locally present, which will provide nourishment to the organism. And after a particular time of incubation, these eggs which were formed inside the uterus of the organism will hatch inside the uterus, and now the organism will give birth to young ones. So, based upon the development of the zygote inside or outside the body of the female parent, we have classified organisms into three types, which was oviparous animals, simply egg-laying animals like birds; viviparous animals, the young ones laying animals like human beings; and a special case which is ovoviviparous, that is in some organisms like shark and Indian cobra.
Now, this is the assignment from chapter 1, Reproduction in Organism, and these are some of the important questions which you have to practice, and you have to do this assignment in your notebooks. The first is 5 MCQs are given. The first is, which one can't be included under basic features of reproduction? A. DNA replication, formation of gamete, all divisions are mitotic, or D. Growth that is due to protoplasm. The second question is, which of the following can show somatogenic reproduction? The first option is paramecium, second is amoeba, C. hydra, and D. all. Question number 3. All of the following are pre-fertilization events, except you have to tell me which one of these is not a pre-fertilization event. A is spermatogenesis, B is oogenesis, C is gamete transfer, and D is embryogenesis. Question number 4. Eggs are covered with a tough leathery coat in case of A. shark, B. bony fishes, C. lizards, or D. urochordates. Question number 5. Development of an organism from female gamete egg without involving fertilization is called what? 1. Adventive embryony, B. polyembryony, C. parthenocarpy, or D. parthenogenesis. Now we are going to talk about some questions which you have to describe in brief. Like the first question is, why reproduction is essential for an organism? You have to give all the important points which are occurring, which say or which justify why reproduction is essential for organism. The second question is, why is the offspring formed by asexual reproduction referred to as a clone? This we have already discussed, like why asexual reproduction produces organisms which are genetically and morphologically equal, and they are called clones. In question number 3, you have to differentiate between asexual and sexual reproduction. Now, question number 4, explain why meiosis is important during gamete formation. Question number 5, you have to define external fertilization with help of an example. In question number 6, you have to define oviparous animals with example. Question number 7, viviparous animals with example. Question number 8, you have to explain or define what is syngamy and parthenogenesis. Question number 9, you have to define monoecious plants and give an example, and bisexual animals an example. Question number 10, you have to give the importance of cell division and cell differentiation during embryogenesis. Now, the diagrams which you have to practice are like, you have to draw the diagrams of budding and binary fission as you have already learned in 10th standard. In second question, you have to draw the diagrams of asexual structures like zoospores, conidia, gametes, etc. Now, in the last question, the ploidy of the organism is given, that is the diploid condition. You have to fill in the blank spaces which are given. For here the organism is given, here the meiocyte or the gamete mother cell, that is the diploid condition is given, and here the gamete is given, that is haploid. Now this housefly is having 12 number of chromosome in the diploid condition, so it will have 6 number of chromosome in gamete. Now in other organism also you have to fill the spaces. Here I have given an example of yeast where I have written meiocyte is having haploid number of organism, that is 17. So here you have to explain how and why I have written this, that yeast is having 17 number of chromosome, that is haploid condition, that too in meiocyte. Thank you.